Welcome to the latest episode of the SCU show. I'm your host, SCU, episode number 69. No jokes intended, please. What a show we have for you this week. It is going to be absolutely unbelievable because the NFL draft just happened. We have the USFL, NBA playoffs, and I'm going to Vegas next weekend, so there is no show next week. I am rocking it says Team Bell on it because my best friend Ruben, his fiance Danny, they love Beauty and the Beast. And they wanted to name their daughter Belle, so they decided to make us Team Belle or Team Beast. I don't know why I'm Team Belle, but all the groomsmen are. But that's another story for another time. I'll get to it maybe after I come back from Vegas in a couple weeks. But anyway, let's get started here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a hell of a show for you, and we don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's start with the NFL draft because it was actually a better draft than I think anybody has actually anticipated. I was about to say participated. I meant anticipated. So last year we knew, the last 2 years, we've known who's going first. We knew it was Joe Burrow. 3 years, we've known it was Kyler Murray. Okay, maybe 4. We've known for a long time who's going first. We knew it was Myles Garrett in 2017. We knew it was Baker in 2018. We knew it was Kyler Murray in 2019. We knew it was Joe Burrow in 2020. And we knew it was Trevor Lawrence in 2021. We did not know who's going to go first overall in this draft. A draft most people think is just not as exciting because the players aren't as good, but you know what? For what it was a very good draft. And let's start with that first overall pick. It wound up being Trayvon Walker from Georgia. I'm not too sure about that one. I'm really not. I've heard that he had one good year at Georgia, and that was pretty much it. So I'm kind of cautious. I don't know about that really, about how that's going to work out. Obviously, the defense needs some help. They did lose Miles Jack, but a guy, but 1 year wonder. I'm not sure. Is he going to be as good as he was in his 1 year at Georgia? I just don't know. I don't think any of us really know. Of course, we don't know if any of these guys are going to be actually good. It's a wait and see situation, but I question the Jaguars pick at number 1 with Trayvon Walker. Number 2 was Aiden Hutchinson. That was obvious. The Lions got their guy. That was going to happen eventually. That was evident. That was going to happen. And then you get to 3 with the Texans, and another guy, you're just like, I don't know about this pick, because I was like that. I was like, I don't know about this pick. It was Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. He had a great 2019. He had that championship year with LSU. He had an excellent year. And after that, we don't know. I mean, he just fell off the rocker kinda. He was just not the same guy. And now he went to number 3 to Houston, so it's another one where you're just like, I'm just like, I don't know about that. So another wait-and-see situation. Maybe those two are not just one-year wonders, and maybe they are something special, and that's why they were picked in the top 3. And we're going to go right down to number 6, because this was terrible. What the hell was this? Oh my God. The Carolina Panthers at number 6. Everybody in the world, even Malik Willis himself, thought Malik Willis was going to go number 6 to the Carolina Panthers because they need a quarterback as they're trying to move off of Sam Darnold. And what do the Panthers do? Of course they take an offensive tackle instead of a freaking quarterback. And I remember saying, I swear to God, if they screw this up, lo and behold, they screwed up. And I was like, what the hell? What are you doing? You have no quarterback and you're going to draft an offensive lineman? I was beside myself. I was like, holy crap, man. What? That was absolute crap. Absolute garbage pick by the Panthers. No, that was an absolute garbage pick. Absolute garbage decision by the Panthers to take an offensive lineman over a quarterback at number 6. It made no sense whatever. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? What are you doing, Carolina? What are you doing? But they did make up for it. We'll get to that a little later. The Falcons. That's a great pick. Drake London at USC. Bam, right there. Instant number 1 wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, will not play this year due to gambling. And they don't have anybody else. They lost Rashad Bateman. He's with the Bucs now. So you got to go get yourself a number 1 receiver. See, the Falcons know what they were doing in the first round. They knew they had to go get themselves a receiver because they might have a quarterback for at least the next 2 years. Then Marcus Mariota. We still don't know about Marcus Mariota. I mean, who knows? We might see their quarterback that they're after later on in the draft. He might even play this year. We'll get to that a little later. But you didn't. The first need was a wide receiver, absolutely. Outside of defense, I thought they could go defense because they had the least sacks in the league. But I still like to pick Drake London, number 8, to the Carolina Panthers. The Commanders. It looks like they're building around Carson Wentz. I don't even know how long Carson Wentz is going to be with the Commanders. How long he's going to play for the Commanders. We'll get to that also later. But they're building something there in Washington. They drafted Jahan Dotson from Penn State, one of the better receivers in the draft. I like the pick. I think, like I said when he was drafted, they're pretty much building around Carson Wentz at this point. Carson Wentz is getting so lucky to have all these opportunities in the NFL after the 2017 year. He had a great year towards ACL. Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. 2018, we talked about this so many times on the show. 2018, 5-6 as starter. And eventually went to the Colts. Last year, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. Hey, that's good stuff. Probably should have made the playoffs. They absolutely should have made the playoffs. But they lost the last game to the Jaguars. So they didn't make the playoffs. And Jim Irsay was so mad, he got rid of Wentz. And now he gets another chance with the Washington Commanders in the NFC East. And, they have Jerry McLaurin. They just drafted Jahan Dotson. They're building around Wentz. It's all on Wentz now. It's literally all on Wentz now. If he cannot succeed with the team he has here in Washington, he might not have another shot in the NFL. He just might be done in the NFL. What other team is going to give this guy a chance? If he screws up with the Commanders, come on. You can't screw up like this. You can't screw up now with what you have here in Washington. So there's that. The Titans. What was that? Wow. That was a shock, wasn't it? They traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. And everyone's like, what are the Titans doing? They must be rebuilding something because they already had released Julio Jones, who of course, he was injured most of the year and had like 1 touchdown all year. So that one kind of made sense. And then they got rid of A.J. Brown, the number 1 receiver. And they're like, what? What's going on here? Well, they did the smartest thing probably in the first round. And they got themselves another wide receiver. Trayvon Burks. I love Treylon Burks. I love this guy at Arkansas. Watch his combine. Outstanding combine. He is going to be an excellent number 1 receiver for the Titans. It's going to be spectacular. I say it a lot on the show. But Treylon Burks was probably one of my favorite picks in the first round of the NFL draft. Very smart by the Titans after getting rid of A.J. Brown. And then you get to the 2 winners of the first round. Well, maybe 3 winners of the first round. The Jets, they won the first round for sure. They got Sauce Gardner with the 4th pick. The guy from Cincinnati who has not given up a single touchdown in his career as safety or corner, whatever he plays. You got Garrett Wilson, the receiver from Ohio State. You got yourself another guy. Elijah Moore had a pretty good season for Zach Wilson. And now you got yourself another guy. So, because obviously Corey, I forget his last name again. Corey something. For the former 5th overall pick for the Titans, he's just not been living up to the expectations of his career in the NFL. So they got another guy in Garrett Wilson, very talented receiver. And then you got Jermaine Johnson at 26. They traded up to get Jermaine Johnson, so obviously they wanted him. Defensive end out of Florida State. Baltimore. My best friend Ruben is getting married in about 40-something days. June 19th. We're going to Vegas this weekend for his bachelor party. Got to talk about the Ravens here on the last episode of the SCU show before I go to Vegas. And plus, the Ravens won the trade. Yes, they have absolutely no receivers now. We'll get to that later. But they drafted 2 stars on defense. Amazing stuff for the Ravens. They drafted Kyle Hamilton, the 14th pick. Great stuff. He's such a talented corner out of Notre Dame. He's going to make an instant impact for that defense as they look to overtake the AFC North from the Bengals, which might happen, might not. Wait and see. And then they got the best. I've heard so much about Tyler Linderbaum, the center, out of Purdue. I've heard so much about him, what a steal he is for the Baltimore Ravens. And obviously Lamar Jackson is always running out of the pocket. He doesn't have the best O-line. It's better than Seattle's, but no longer has Russell Wilson. But Lamar's always running out of the pocket, can never find open receivers, so he needs time in the pocket. You got your guy, your center. You got your guy. Oh, he's going to be a Pro Bowl center at some point in the NFL, maybe even this year. Another great pick for Baltimore. The G-Man. Giants had a great first round. Took a lot of nice guys. Unfortunately, it's still Daniel Jones, so I mean, I don't know how much better they're going to do. They do have Brian Daboll, though. He's their head coach, obviously the former offensive coordinator for Josh Allen, and everybody loves Josh Allen so much. And now I understand why. The Giants had a good first round. The Saints also had a very good first round, by the way. They got a receiver in the Olave kid from Ohio State. They traded up the 11th pick to get the Olave kid from Ohio State. And then they drafted an offensive lineman, Trevor Penning. I love Trevor Penning. I've watched him play. He's an amazing offensive lineman out of Northern Iowa. That was another great draft. First round for the Saints. They're building something there as well with their new head coach, Dennis Allen. And that is your first round recap from the NFL draft. Here on the SCU show, number 69. I'm your host, SCU. No jokes from number 69, please. Thank you. Be very serious on the show. All right, let's get to some other picks here. I mean, outside of the first round, there were a lot of great picks. A lot of interesting picks. Malik Willis went to the Titans in the third round. I was kind of disappointed at first. Because Malik Willis is supposed to be the quarterback of the future for another franchise. He's supposed to be the best quarterback in this draft. Now he goes to the Titans, where they already have a quarterback. So I was thinking, my first reaction was, oh no, there goes his career. Of course, I've been wrong. I've said this about Patrick Mahomes. Remember that? When he was drafted 10th overall in 2017, I said, there goes his career. He's never going to get a chance to start. But then again, then the Chiefs traded away Alex Smith, and the rest is history. Well, I was listening to ESPN Radio the third day. Good stuff, by the way. Very good coverage by them. And they were talking about how Malik Willis, I mean, he could be more than just a quarterback. He doesn't have to be the starting quarterback for the Titans. He could be a receiver. He could be a running back. He could do it all. He's an athlete. He's not just a quarterback. So, okay. So right now I'll take it that this is a good pick by the Titans in the third round. Another smart pick for Tennessee. They might have another receiver for themselves. Maybe Malik Willis will be okay with switching to receiver or running back. And they'll use him maybe in the Wildcats. There's other different ways for the Titans to use Malik Willis. And not just quarterback. So I wish I had thought of that before. I didn't, but I'm glad I heard it because I would have come on here and start talking about, there goes his career. It's over. It's going to be sit behind Ryan Tannehill for 2 years and then he'll be released or traded. No, he could be used in other ways by the Titans. So it'll be exciting to see what the Titans do with him. Desmond Ridder went 74th overall to the Falcons. And we were talking about this. They had taken receiver first round, and I was thinking, oh, wow, that's, a good pick. It is a good pick. Drake London is a good pick. He's going to be an instant number one receiver. And then the thing is, Marcus Mariota has a history of injuries. What do the Falcons do about that? They go get Desmond Ridder, the quarterback from Cincinnati, and now that people are talking about how, knock on wood, Marcus Mariota gets injured, it's Desmond Ridder time. So we could see Desmond Ridder starting at some point in his rookie season. And so yet to be seen if he will succeed in the NFL as a rookie anyway. That's another wait and see situation. So good pick. I like another good pick by the Falcons. They might have found their quarterback of the future. Again, we'll have to wait and see. I love this pick. Oh boy, this is a great pick. Oh, I love this pick so much. Sam Howell was one of my favorite quarterbacks in this NFL draft. He went to the Commanders, 53rd overall, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 153rd overall. Sam Howell, it was 153rd. He went in the 5th round to the Commanders. Love this pick. I feel like he's going to also start at some point for the Commanders in 2022. Because Carson Wentz, he has a history of struggling. Yes, he threw only 7 picks last year and 27 touchdowns. But he's been taken out of games before. He's been replaced before many times. So I'm surprised if at some point, I'm thinking maybe week 14. Maybe, Carson Wentz isn't the Carson Wentz he thought he would be with Washington. Maybe he struggles a lot with the Commanders. And eventually they're just like, all right, you know what? Their season is lost. The Eagles have already won the division. Let's just put in Sam Howell and get him ready for 2023. It's possible, right? Anything is possible. But again, if Carson Wentz cannot succeed with the Commanders, first of all, I think there's not much chances left for him. And then I think Sam Howell will take over, and I'm really hoping Sam Howell will succeed in the NFL with the Washington Commanders. I would love to see it. I would just absolutely love to see it. Well, I didn't write this one down. I don't know how I forgot this one. Matt Corral to the... Who did he go to? I don't remember now. Matt Corral. He went to the Panthers, that's right. Matt Corral to the Carolina Panthers. Guess what, Panthers fans? You have your franchise quarterback now. I hope, maybe. Matt Corral is one of those top 5 quarterbacks in this NFL draft. And all these quarterbacks fell in the draft, but Matt Corral in the 3rd round, like 94th overall, to the Panthers. You got your guy. So that's why I wanted to come here and freak out about how the Panthers screwed up. But then they went and drafted a franchise quarterback. They got Matt Corral. And the thing with the Panthers is, if it doesn't work in 2022, if Matt Corral, you find out is not your guy, I mean, next year, you go back to the draft. It's as simple as that, because next year we talk about how all these talented quarterbacks, there are much more talented quarterbacks coming out of the draft next year, in 2023. So if Matt Corral is indeed not your guy, first of all, you didn't waste anything. He's a 3rd round guy, so you're not paying him much. And next year, your draft is just so much better, especially at the quarterback position. So, it's a win-win situation for Carolina. I hope Matt Corral is the guy, because I love Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. But if he's not, it doesn't really matter for Carolina, because you could just go back in the draft next year and see if you have another guy that could be your guy. And if it's not next year, 2024, you got Caleb Williams coming out of USC. So you can go tank for Caleb Williams, like the Dolphins tank for Tua. Panthers are going to be fine. Plus, Tom Brady's going to retire in the next 2 years anyway. Maybe. And the Saints are the Saints, and the Falcons, I mean, they're still rebuilding as well. So, Panthers are in a very good situation right now, and they have potentially a franchise quarterback in Matt Corral. And there you go. Great stuff. That's good. It's awesome. I love that. All right, let's get to these 2 trades. We did not talk about the first one. We did talk about the second one. The Baltimore Ravens have traded their number 1 receiver, Hollywood Brown, to the Arizona Cardinals. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here now to tell you, Hollywood Brown is an NFL bust. That's right. Hollywood Brown is an NFL bust. He's going to go to Arizona now and be a 3 or a 4, or do absolutely nothing. Probably a 4, because they have DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, and Andy Isabella. I think he's still there, because they got rid of Christian Kirk. He's not there anymore. But if it's just DeAndre Hopkins and it's just AJ Green, he's still a 3. And that's not who Hollywood Brown should have been when he came out of the NFL out of Oklahoma. He should have been a number 1 receiver for the Ravens, but he's just not lived up to the expectations he had coming out of Oklahoma, unfortunately. And now I'm ready to just call him a bust. He's not going to do anything in Arizona. He's going to be a 30 catch guy in 2022. I mean, that's not impressive. I mean, come on. Of course, that's what you get when you're a number 3, when you go from a number 1 to number 3. So there you go. I'm ready to just call it as I see it. I'm just ready to call it as I see it. Hollywood Brown is an NFL bust. It's unfortunate, because I did like him coming out of Oklahoma, but I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. He's going to be a 3 or 4 in Arizona. Now, of course, Baltimore has no receivers now, but I mean, you just have to work with what you have now, and hopefully get past the Steelers for probably 3rd place at this point. Maybe even get past Cleveland when Deshaun Watson returns in week 8, week 9, to avoid being last place team in the NFC North now, AFC North, because Baltimore has no receivers. They have the defense. They got Cal Hamilton. They got a bunch of other stars on that defense. Who's Lamar Jackson throwing to? Hollywood Brown was his number 1 receiver. He's gone. So this is just not good for the Ravens. It's not good for Marquise Brown. Both sides lost this trade pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. But I mean, the Ravens could at this point be the last place team in the AFC North, depending on what happens with the Steelers. And by the way, they drafted Kenny Pickett 20th overall. So what happens with Kenny Pickett and the Steelers, and Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns? Because I think that the Bengals at this point are going to win the division once again, and Baltimore could be looking at last place. I don't want them to be last place. I root for the Ravens because my best friend's a Ravens fan. And I love Lamar Jackson. You kidding me? He was a superhuman athlete coming against Louisville. But no receivers. It's a big problem for the Ravens. Big problem. And then you go to the A.J. Brown trade. So, like I already talked about this, A.J. Brown traded from the Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is a huge win for the Eagles. Huge win. Now, as a former Cowboys fan, I don't like to hype up the Eagles because they were the one team in the NFC East. When I was a Cowboys fan, I just did not like the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I really like the Philadelphia Eagles because I feel like Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are going to make beautiful music in Philadelphia. I just keep thinking about how explosive this duo is going to be in Philadelphia. I mean, Jalen Hurts could be a 5,000-yard passer. A.J. Brown's going to be near the 2,000-yard receiving mark because it's him. And Devontae Smith could also have up to at least 1,500 yards. You could throw in Jalen Reagor in there, but Jalen Reagor's deleting his stuff off the Eagles' social media page, and he's pissed off. Well, that's what happens now that you're a 3, and you are also looking like a bust. I think the Eagles drafted him like 18th overall at TCU. He's not lived up to the hype. Devontae Smith's better than him. A.J. Brown's going to be much better than him. So, sorry, not sorry for that. But A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, I cannot wait for that. It's going to be spectacular. Amazing stuff there in Philadelphia. And I feel like it's going to be them and the Commanders in the NFC East. It's just going to be so fun to watch. It's good stuff. Good stuff. A lot of NFL draft talk, I know. But a lot happened in the NFL draft. So let's wrap up, actually, our NFL draft talk. I used to do this during the 2020 NFL season. The SCU Sizzling Seven. Post-draft. The 7 best teams in the NFL after the 2022 NFL draft. Here we go. Number 7. It's Arizona. Everybody talks about the Kyler Murray drama. Oh my God, they pay the man. They're going to pay the man. Calm down. Stop it. I'm tired of hearing about this. It's kind of like the Dak Prescott thing. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Kyler Murray's going to get paid. Everybody else is getting paid. Kyler Murray's going to get paid eventually. I don't know when, but I'm sure maybe by the time I come back from my vacation, they're going to pay the man. So, I mean, they have a very explosive team there in Arizona. Obviously, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, C.J. Green, James Conner, Jack Ertz. They drafted Trey McBride. I love that pick for the Arizona Cardinals. He's going to be a great second tight end. And maybe even a replacement for Jack Ertz if he gets hurt. I mean, it's an explosive Arizona team. I even picked them after the Super Bowl the Super Bowl 56. I have them in Super Bowl 57. I have since thought about that, and maybe not that far, but one of the top teams in the NFL, obviously, number 7, is the Cardinals. Number 6 is the defending Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have everything coming back for them. The only question I have is, what are we going to get from Matt Stafford? Is Matt Stafford going to lead the league in picks again? Is he going to throw 2 very bad interceptions in another Super Bowl next year? I don't know. Is he going to be the same quarterback? I don't know. We have a lot of questions with Matt Stafford, so that's why I put the defending Super Bowl champions at number 6. Everybody's going to love this. Number 5, I put the Vikings. Minnesota Vikings. This is a joke, by the way. I saw this on, I think it was SB Nation on Twitter. The only team who had their Super Bowl chances go down after the draft was the Vikings. I don't understand it. First of all, the Vikings, what do the Vikings need besides corners and safeties, which they can get anywhere? And they also lost Zadarius. They had Zadarius Smith, actually. What else do the Vikings possibly need? They have Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Kirk Cousins is a very talented quarterback if he doesn't play on 8 o'clock on Sunday nights or Monday nights. He's a talented quarterback. The Vikings don't need anything that they could have gotten in the draft. They just got to hedge a bunch of picks. That's it. They could have traded all those picks away and still won the NFC North at this point because the Packers, while they did draft 2 receivers, it's not going to do anything for them. Vikings, number 5. Number 4 is the Bucs. It's another team that doesn't need anything. They didn't need the picks. Tampa Bay had everything coming back for them, just like they did last year. And last year they won the division again. They were 12-5. Yes, they were down 27-3 against the Rams, but they came all the way back. They came storming back. If it weren't for a few fumbles, the Bucs might have won that game. They would have come back and won that game. They would have beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game without a doubt. No doubt about it. The Bucs would have been back in the Super Bowl. They would have beat the Bengals. They would have been back-to-back champions. Tampa Bay absolutely needs nothing from the draft. And there's the number 4 team post-draft. Number 3 is Buffalo. Buffalo, they got another team. They have what they need. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. They do need another number 2 receiver. They got rid of Cole Beasley. They have a lot of running backs who can get the job done. Tre'Davious White is still a very talented player on defense. They've added Von Miller. What do the Bills need? Nothing. They need to win. They need to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. That's what they need. So I put the Bills at number 3 on the list. Number 2 is Kansas City. Love the Chiefs. You can't love the Chiefs. Oh, Tyreek Hill is gone. Oh boy, Jesus. All right, come on. I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's going to figure things out. Him and Andy Reid are going to figure it out. They are going to make it work. They got Juju Smith-Schuster. If he can stay off the social medias, he'll be fine. They still have Travis Kelce. They got to replace Tyrann Mathieu on defense. But other than that, everything else, it's going to work out. The Chiefs are going to be back in the playoffs once again under Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They're number 2 on the post-draft SCU Sizzling Seven. The number 1 team. And I didn't talk about their pick either. The other team in LA, it's the Chargers. My God, the Chargers have stacked up everything in this offseason, including the draft. I like their pick of Isaiah Spiller, by the way, from Texas A&M. Him and Austin Eckler are both receiving backs, so Justin Herbert has a million different options to throw to at quarterback. They spiked up their defense big time. They got Derwin James is coming back. They got Khalil Mack from the Bears. Stacked. Absolutely stacked Chargers team. And I think they could absolutely, and I know we'll talk about Kansas City's going to be fine, but the Chargers absolutely could overtake them in the AFC West. They are going to be a AFC Super Bowl contender, but for right now, they're number 1 on the first SCU Sizzling 7 of 2022. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Whew. A lot of good stuff here on the SCU show number 69. We're host SCU. Going to Vegas this weekend. Cannot wait. I leave Friday night. My friends will be there Saturday morning, so I'll be spending the night in the airport. But it's okay. I got a couple books that I'll be reading. I got last night working on some of my own writing, so I'm not bringing my laptop, but I can, be on my phone, do some outlining, whatever. It'll be a lot. I can't. I'll be all right. I'll get some sleep. Let's get to the NBA playoffs now. Let's be done with the NFL draft stuff. It was a lot of it, but let's move on. So let's recap the first round. We'll start with the Warriors over the Nuggets in 5. That should have probably been a sweep. It was a gentleman's sweep. The Warriors are obviously one of the better teams in the Western Conference. They got Steph, Clay, Draymond. Everybody's coming. James Wiseman's there. They got a very talented roster. Obviously the best coach in the NBA in Steve Kerr. Would not be surprised if the Warriors, who by the way are a 3 seed, would not be surprised if they get to the NBA Finals this year. They could definitely do it for sure. 76ers, what the hell, man? Everybody makes the jokes. Oh, Doc Rivers, he can't hold on to a 3-1 lead. He's blown so many of them. And he almost blew another one. I mean, the Raptors almost took him to 7 games. Philadelphia did win the 6, but that was very close for the Raptors. For the Sixers, they were up 3-0 after winning on a game-winning 3 from Joel Embiid in Toronto. They were up 3-0. They blew the next 2 games, almost blew the next 3. But obviously the Raptors, due to their injuries, could not make it happen, and the Sixers move on in 6. The Pelicans? What was that? The Pelicans gave the Suns all the run for their money. We're talking about the Suns, the team that everybody in the world thinks that is going to win the NBA Finals. They could barely beat the Pelicans. They won in 6, but wow. And now you got no Devin Booker. I mean, Chris Paul's hurt. So it's a little scary for the Suns right now. Let's move on to the second round of the turn against the Mavs, which we'll get to in a moment. What a scary series for the Suns, who, thankfully for Chris Paul, had a great game, a clutch 3 in Game 6, to eliminate the Pelicans. But what a series. What a series. The Celtics, what? They swept the Nets? They swept Kyrie and KD? What? Huh? That was surprising. I was really surprised. Obviously, that first game, they lost on a layup as time expired from Jason Tatum. The next 3 games, the Celtics whooped their ace the next 3 games. It was all Celtics, all Boston. The Nets had zero. They had no chance. Absolutely, they just had no chance. So that was probably the biggest surprise in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Celtics sweeping the Nets. Mavs over the Jazz in 6. I mean, the Mavs are the better team. What can we can do? So that's all there is to it. Is the Mavs are, even without Luka. Luka got hurt. I think he wasn't on game 1 or game 2. Now the Jazz did win game 1. Credit to them. They could not beat. And this was talked about a lot on national radio, national TV. They couldn't beat the Luka-less Mavs in game 2. That was kind of the thing with the Jazz. It was like, if you had gone up 2-0, you would have won the series. Unfortunately, they didn't. They couldn't beat the Luka-less Mavs. Luka did come back, and the Mavs were moving on. In 6 games, by the way. The Grizzlies over the T-Wolves, and that was a good series as well. Obviously, the T-Wolves, like the Pelicans, played in the play-in tournament. And the Grizzlies, we got to talk about the Grizzlies. We got to take them more seriously. But, I mean, T-Wolves gave them all they got, but the Grizzlies do move on in 6 games. Bucks over the Bulls in 5. That should have been a sweep. I mean, did you see the shooting? The Bulls were horrible shooting field goals. They were horrible. I think game 1, DeMar DeRozan went 6 for 25. Is that bad? That's not good. That should have been a sweep for the defending champions. And the Heat over the Hawks in 5. Another one that probably should have been a sweep. So there you go. There's your first round recap. Now we look at the second round, and as at the recording of this video, Grizzlies and Warriors have played their first game. Bucks and Celtics have played their first game as well. That's pretty much it. That's all we got so far. The Suns and Mavs have yet to, and the Heat and Sixers have not either. Both those games are, at the recording of this video, are tonight. Grizzlies and the Warriors, it's going to be such a great series. It's going to be awesome. Such an awesome series. The Warriors took game 1 in Memphis. Not surprised. No, not surprised though. Trayvon Green got ejected, and they still went on to win the game. So that tells you a lot about the Warriors team. Obviously, they've won the championship the last few years, several times. And the Grizzlies, I love the Grizzlies. I just don't know if they're going to get out of the series. I would take that's going to go 7. That's got to go 7, right? That's absolutely got to go be a 7. Either way, I'll take the Warriors to move on to the Western Conference Finals, but the Grizzlies are going to give them everything that they have. Suns, Mavs, going to be another interesting series in the West. Hopefully the the Suns can actually make it happen here, because the Mavs are a better team than the Pelicans. I think we can all agree to that. But I would take the Suns. I think they go 6. It could be a possibility this is another 7-game series. Celtics, Bucks. The Bucks took game 1. They dominated game 1, 102-87, I think I heard when I was at my indoor football game yesterday. They were updating us at the DCU Center in Worcester. They're talking about the Celtics lost 102-87, something like that, game 1. I'm hoping Boston moves on so I can actually make it to a game when I return from Vegas. Hopefully the Celtics will be in the Eastern Conference Finals. That would be so cool to see. Of course, they won't probably get it for game 3 because the Heat are the number 1 seed. But I'm hoping that the Celtics can beat the Bucks just because I want to go to a game and watch them play in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I don't know. I don't know. This is another interesting series. Now the Bucks blew them out. I was a little surprised that the game was so lopsided at the end of it. So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and take the Bucks, defending champions. Giannis has proven to be the best player in the league. He's doing it without Chris Middleton, by the way. I don't even know if Chris Middleton is back yet. The Bucks are just too damn good. Boston has a great team, but it's Godzilla, Giannis versus Mechagodzilla, the Celtics' entire team. We all know how that happened. That happened in 1975. Godzilla beat Mechagodzilla. And Heat and the Sixers going to be an interesting series. No Joel Embiid game 1 and 2. So I think the Heat take a 2-0 lead, just like that. And then they'll probably win the series, probably 5. No, I'll give it 6. Because I think Joel Embiid comes back. Philly wins the next 2 games in Philadelphia. I think the Heat might steal 1, just maybe 1 in Philadelphia. So if the Heat still win in Philadelphia, they're going to win in 5. If not, it's a 6-game series for the Heat and the Philadelphia Sixers. And there you go for your NBA stuff. Recap recap the first round, give you a look ahead to the semifinals, and by the time I return from Vegas, it should be the finals. Or maybe just toward the end of the semis. Alright, now let's get to what everybody loves to see on here on the SCU show. USFL talk. Let's get through our week 3 takeaways, and we start with the Bandits and the Gamblers. This was a game that Houston should have absolutely won. They were dominating the entire game. They even had an interception at one point with like 6:40 left in the game. They were up. I don't remember how much they were up by, but they were up late in the game. They had an interception on defense. By the way, I still like the Gamblers' defense. But they really absolutely let this one slip away. They gave this one, they were like, here you go, Tampa, take the win. Because after last week's performance against New Orleans, there was no way Tampa should have won this game. And the way that the Houston Gamblers played the Bandits, there's no way the Bandits should have won this game. Not anti-Bandits. The Bandits, they just deserved to win this game. They earned the victory. So that was good stuff there for Tampa. They get the victory 27-26 over the Houston Gamblers. Nice way to bounce back from that ugly loss last week to the New Orleans Breakers. The Stallions are the lone undefeated team in the USFL after 3 weeks. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Well, I sure didn't. But Birmingham has been absolutely resilient. They were resilient once again in their win over the New Orleans Breakers, who I thought that defense is just amazing. Absolutely amazing defense for New Orleans. And Birmingham, they were down 13-10 at one point. They went on to score the final 12 points of the game and win by 9. So that, again, that's the resilience we see from the Birmingham Stallions week in and week out. We saw it week 1. They were dominated statistically by the Generals week 1. They still won that game. They won their last week's game. And this week they were down. They scored a final 12 points at the game to defeat the Breakers and remain the only undefeated team left in the USFL. This was the shocker of the weekend. The Michigan Panthers defeated the Pittsburgh Maulers, who I kissed the Maulers' ass last week, talking about they're going to win some games. This defense is too good not to win games. God almighty. The Panthers defeated the Maulers 24-0. What? What was that? Seriously, what the hell was that? The Michigan Panthers have been the worst team in the USFL the first 3 weeks. Then they go, and not only do they beat the Maulers, they shut the Maulers out. How the hell does that happen? That blew my mind when I saw it. I was like, what? What? How does that happen? Well, what was the defense doing in this game that they gave up 24 points? What the hell was the offense doing? They scored nothing. What happened in that game? I cannot believe that. That was the one thing I never thought would have ever happened in the USFL. Then again, I thought that I didn't think the Breakers would beat the brakes off the Bandits 34-3, but 24-0 at this point in the season? Come on, Pittsburgh, what the hell, man? You let me down. Come on, get your together. And the final game, New Jersey Generals defeat the Philadelphia Stars 24-16. And surprise, surprise, the New Jersey Generals, Jersey represent, are atop of the Northern Division. So good stuff for the Generals. Obviously, the North Division is much weaker than the South. But lo and behold, here they are. The New Jersey Generals lead the Northern Division after the 24-16 win over the Philadelphia Stars. And there's your Week 3 recap. Pittsburgh. What the freak, man? What the hell? Jesus Christ. Alright, let's get to our USFL rankings. Do I even have to say it? Number 8, it's the Maulers. God almighty, what the hell? Like, I just talked about this. How do you lose 24-0 to the Michigan Panthers, who have been the worst team the whole season? That's absolutely horrible. I was looking forward to putting the Maulers somewhere, maybe even in the top 5, depending on what happened this weekend. But they're the worst team in the league. Holy sugar honey iced tea, man. Number 7, it's the Michigan Panthers. They suck, but they just shut out the Maulers 24-0, so they cannot be the worst team in the league now. They just can't be. After defeating the Maulers the way they did, it was just absolute mayhem for that game. That game was absolute mayhem. I can't get over it. Number 6 is Houston. What happened to Houston? They've lost the last 2 games after a dominant victory over the Panthers, where they were up 17-0, had a 95-yard recovery for a touchdown, and since then they've lost the last 2 games, and they blew a big lead against Tampa, who got their ass whooped by the Breakers. And no discredit to the Breakers, the best team in the league at this point. But Houston might have a problem. Number 6. Number 5, Philadelphia. Loss, win, loss. Philadelphia's a good team. They're scoring points. Byron Scott's he's a good quarterback. He really is doing well with the Stars. But they're just they're that up and down team in the USFL. So I'll put them at number 5. Number 4 is the Generals. Dominated the first game against Birmingham. Statistically, lost the game. Last week, won 10-6 against the Panthers. What was that? That was probably not the best performance by the Generals. And then this week, they beat the Stars 24-16. So that was good. So, but they're better teams than the Generals. That's why they are number 4 on the latest rankings. I'll get it right eventually. Number 3 is Tampa. I still like the Bandits. I don't know if they'll win the championship because the South is so dominant now. But the Bandits are playing better football, obviously. They won their game against Houston. They were resilient in their game against Houston. They came all storming back. Even after throwing an interception late in the game, they were able to, the defense was able to make the stop, get the ball back, and the Bandits' offense wound up winning that game against Houston. And obviously they had a great performance week 1 against the Pittsburgh Maulers. So Tampa number 3. Number 2 is New Orleans. They were the best team last week. They've been the best team so far this season. But they lost this week. They gave up 12 points at the end of the game. And that's why they are number 2. Not only that, but the number 1 team is the only undefeated team left in the USFL. And that's the Birmingham Stallions. I mean, surprise, surprise, aren't right? A resilient team, like I said, a resilient team. Dominated against the Generals, they'll wind up winning the game. Last week, a great performance, and then this week again, another great performance. Down 13-10, they scored the final 12 points against that, who I think is the best defense in the league in New Orleans. Birmingham, number 1 on this week's Power Rankings list. There you go. Good stuff. Very good stuff. All right, we'll close out the show. SCU show number 69. No jokes, please. We're playing very serious here. I'm your host, SCU. USFL Week 4. We're not going to talk about Week 5. We'll just let that one go. We'll talk about it when I can return. Week 4 kicks off with the Philadelphia Stars hosting the Michigan Panthers. I think this is a game where the Panthers show us, okay, we had a good game against Pittsburgh. We're not going to have a good game against the other team in Pennsylvania. I'll take the Stars to beat the Panthers to kick off Week 4. It's not going to be a blow-in. I think that the Stars do have shown their struggles on offense, so I think it'll be a little close, but I think the Stars eventually do pull away, probably towards the end of the game, and they wind up winning another one. And they keep going up and down, by the way. New Jersey hosts Pittsburgh. The Generals and the Maulers. I got to go with the Generals here. I mean, the Generals are playing great football. They dominated the Stallions in Week 1, even though they lost. And the Maulers, I mean, we just talked about it. They just lost 24-0 to the freaking Panthers. I think the Maulers defense will have a good game against New Jersey, but they're not going to win. They're going to remain the only winless team in the USFL. And it's just very sad to see, unfortunately. Bandits and the Stallions to wrap it up. Going to be a great game. That's going to be an absolutely great game. But I'm going to take the Stallions. Stallions have been resilient. They're playing excellent football. They're an undefeated team. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay, while they did beat Maulers, there were 2 interceptions in that first game. And then you go against New Orleans, they did absolutely nothing. And this week, they were down against Houston, the Gamblers. And they were only down by 3 late in that game when they threw the picks, but they literally gave that game away. So I'll take the Stallions to remain undefeated after the first 4 weeks of the USFL season. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? With that, we are done here. I'm going to Vegas. I'm off to Vegas. Can't wait. I'm so excited. Very excited. So, yeah, I'm done. That's it for me. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching, everybody. This has been episode number 69. No jokes, please, of the SCU show.